Imagine knowing the exact moment a war would turn, holding the fate of millions in your hands. No one believes you. This was George Sorge's burden, a man of charm, intellect, and deception, who risked everything to unveil secrets that empires hid in plain sight. This is not just his story. It's the story of trust, betrayal, and the price of knowledge. The streets of Tokyo were quiet that night. Shadows stretched long under dim street lamps. Richard Sorge's steps were deliberate, his expression carefree, but his mind? A storm of calculations and fear. He slipped into a cafe, the scent of cigarette smoke heavy in the air. To the world, he was just another journalist out for a drink, but Sorge knew the razor-thin line he walked. Behind every smile was a question. How long before they see through me? In his pocket, a coded message pulsed like a heartbeat, one that could change the fate of nations. But betrayal was always closer than comfort, and in the world of shadows, even a whisper could end a life. Richard Sorge was a man of contradictions. Charm and paranoia, brilliance and recklessness. Born in Russia, raised in Germany, he wore his identities like masks. To his Nazi comrades, he was a loyal journalist. To his Soviet handlers, a hero of the cause. But who was he really? Even Sorge wasn't sure. He often wondered if, beneath the masks, there was anything left of the man he once was. It was 1938. Japan's war drums echoed across Asia. Hitler's Reich was tightening its grip on Europe. And Sorge, he was the invisible thread connecting these worlds, a thread that could unravel with one wrong move. Every night, in the stillness of his room, he'd ask himself, is it worth it? The danger, the deception, the loneliness, all for a truth that might never be believed. Sorge's mission was simple in theory, deadly in practice. Uncover Japan's plans. Would they turn their guns on the Soviet Union? Stalin needed answers. Sorge delivered. But with every secret he uncovered, a new fear took root. He could feel the weight of his lies pressing down on his mind. Each meeting in smoke-filled bars, each whispered exchange was a dance on the edge of a knife. The Kempeitai, Japan's secret police, were shadows in his peripheral vision. He knew they were hunting him. He could feel their eyes, their suspicion tightening like a noose. And yet, he couldn't stop. He was addicted to the danger, the thrill of knowing what others didn't. Then came the telegram. June 1941. Sorge's fingers trembled as he tapped out the message to Moscow. Hitler will invade the Soviet Union on June 22nd. He had delivered the truth, but deep down, he felt a cold dread. What if this truth, like so many before, was ignored? Doubt clawed at his mind. Was he risking his life for ears that refused to listen? Sorge's world was unraveling. In October 1941, betrayal struck, not from his enemies but from within his own network. One slip, one moment of weakness, and the Kempeitai came for him. The knock was gentle. The violence that followed was not. As they dragged him from his home, Sorge's thoughts raced. He had always known this day would come, but now that it had, a strange calm settled over him. Perhaps this was freedom, the end of the masks, the lies, the endless pretending. In the cold cell, bruised and bleeding, Sorge faced his captors. He thought of the secrets he had carried, the truths he had fought for. Had it been worth it? Or had he lost himself to a cause that never truly saw him? On November 7th, 1944, Richard Sorge was executed. His final words were defiant. The Red Army will win, but victory was not his to see. In the quiet moments before his death, did he find peace, or did he wonder if the masks he wore had become his true face? For years, Sorge's truth was buried. Stalin's mistrust, the Allies' silence, they turned him into a ghost, a man who gave everything for a cause that struggled to remember his name. Richard Sorge lived on the edge of reality, where truth and lies blurred. He betrayed and was betrayed, but in the end, perhaps his greatest struggle was not with his enemies, but with himself. The mind is the first battleground, and sometimes the deepest secrets are the ones we keep from ourselves. This was case number 001, the betrayal of truth. Spy is a labyrinth, and we've only just begun to explore its depths. If you're ready to explore more minds that shaped history, subscribe and join us. The shadows are waiting.